Hello, Rams fans. The days are flying by, and things are really heating up behind the scenes for the Los Angeles Rams. I have some important updates to share this weekend, and man, I am so excited about what's coming up. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but the Rams just made a last-minute move at one of the most interesting positions on the roster, and the timing speaks volumes. With training camp winding down and the preseason set to be the next big test, Los Angeles is adding another young pass rusher to a defense that's already been making life miserable for opposing quarterbacks. I'll tell you all about it in a moment, but first, make sure to hit that like button if you've been a Rams fan for over 20 years. We've got people here who were at games back in the 70s. It's great to see fans of all ages. If you'd like, drop a comment below letting us know what year you became a Rams fan and which game left the biggest mark on you. Sending a big hug to you all. Now, let's get into today's topic. I want to start with this. On Friday, the Rams announced the signing of undrafted rookie edge rusher Daniel Rickert, adding another option to a position that will need more depth during the preseason. Rickert arrives from Virginia after a long college football career. He spent 5 years at Tennessee Tech before transferring to Virginia. In 14 games for the Cavaliers, he recorded 6.5 sacks and 8 tackles for loss. After going undrafted, Rickert received an invitation to the Titans' rookie minicamp, but didn't sign with the team, remaining a free agent. Now, as the Rams' training camp comes to a close, his opportunity in Los Angeles has arrived. This will be an interesting situation to watch, as Rickert is joining a defensive group that has been a standout during camp. Nothing is guaranteed for an undrafted rookie arriving this late. He joins a group with solid roster options, and the preseason will be crucial. Yet, this is precisely the moment a young player hopes for an opportunity. The Rams are transitioning from training camp to actual games, where players lower on the depth chart will finally have real chances to prove what they can do. Rickert now gets that opportunity. And Rams fans, that brings us directly to what may have been the biggest takeaway from the final full practice at LMU. This defense looks scary. For the third consecutive day, the consensus coming out of practice was that the defense won. Not just one player making one spectacular play. Not just one position group having a good period. The defense as a whole appears to be coming together, and that is important because the beginning of camp looked a little different. Normally, defenses have an advantage early in NFL training camps. Offenses are installing plays, getting their timing right, and adjusting to different situations. But the Rams' offense came into camp with plenty of continuity. The starting group was largely familiar with each other, and because of that, the offense looked ready early. The defense had more adjustments to make. There were new pieces in the secondary and changes that required time for the group to become comfortable together. Now we are beginning to see what happens when those pieces start connecting. And obviously, Myles Garrett changes everything. Braden Fisk gave one of the funniest answers of camp when he was asked what he had learned about Garrett since practicing with him. His answer was basically that he had learned nothing because all men are not created equal. It was funny, but it also captured the point perfectly. Garrett is different. When a player with that kind of ability is coming off the edge, the offensive line has a problem before the play even develops. But what should excite Rams fans even more is that the defense is not succeeding only because of Garrett. The secondary had another impressive day. On Matthew Stafford's first pass of practice, he looked toward Davante Adams on the left sideline. Emmanuel Forbes was right there in man coverage, attacked the football and forced the incompletion. Forbes had a fantastic day, but he was not alone. The starting secondary forced multiple incompletions when Stafford tried to attack downfield. Quentin Lake made a play on a deep throw toward the left sideline, and Trent McDuffie made another on the right side. Think about what that means. This defense is practicing against Stafford, and an offense loaded with dangerous weapons, and the defensive backs are challenging them down the field. That is exactly the type of competition you want during camp. Then there is Sean Dolac, who continues to make it harder and harder to ignore him. For the second consecutive day, Dolac was a major part of the defensive story. and he continues to receive opportunities with the first-team group. The Rams have already found value at inside linebacker with Omar Speights, and now another undrafted player is making noise. Dolak intercepted Stetson Bennett and took it back for a touchdown. He had also been making plays in coverage earlier in camp. Every time a young player produces while getting opportunities with higher-level groups, people start paying attention. That is one of the most interesting themes surrounding this defense. It is not simply about the stars at the top. The depth is beginning to show. Cam Lampkin put together another strong practice with multiple pass breakups and continued what has been an impressive finish to his camp. That type of development matters, even if a player does not immediately have a huge role. An improved secondary means the competition for snaps becomes harder, but having players you trust deeper on the roster becomes extremely valuable when injuries happen during a long NFL season. Dejuan Johnson has also been making his presence felt. He earned a role in the rotation last season and has again shown an ability to pressure the quarterback. Wesley Bailey is another name showing positive signs. So imagine what an opposing offensive line could be dealing with. You survive the first wave, and then Los Angeles begins rotating fresh players into the game. Garrett and Byron Young can create pressure. Braden Fisk can be part of that attack. Then the next group comes in and continues making the quarterback uncomfortable. And now, Daniel Rickert is entering that environment looking for his own opportunity. That is why his arrival is worth following during the preseason. He is not being asked to arrive as the star of this defense. He is entering a group where competition is already intense, and now he has to show that he deserves to remain part of it. While the defense may have been the biggest story of the final practices, there is another development on offense that could completely change what the Rams are capable of doing this season. Blake Corum looks ready for more. The idea of Corum receiving a larger role in his third season has become one of the worst-kept secrets around this team. And that does not necessarily mean reducing Kyren Williams to a minor role. In fact, the most exciting possibility is the opposite. The Rams may have two running backs who can make each other better. Corum himself did not hide from the expectations. When he was asked whether his third season could be the year he makes a major jump, he said yes. He believes this could be his breakout season, and he has been focused on improving 1% every day while chasing greatness. There has also been significant work behind the scenes. Corum became a father for the first time in February, something that changed his perspective, but he has also changed the way he prepares physically. His off-season included agility and speed work with his childhood trainer, Kevin Johnson. Part of that training focused on the nervous system, fast twitch muscles, and ankle strength. Corum explained that ankle stiffness and joint hypermobility helped him plant his foot, change direction, and explode faster than before. And according to what has been seen in practice, that work is showing up when he runs. That could become extremely important once the regular season begins. The Rams do not need Corum and Williams to be completely different types of backs. Their similarity can actually help the offense. When one replaces the other, the entire identity of the offense does not need to change. And there is already evidence that sharing the workload can help. In 2024, Williams averaged 4 yards per carry. In 2025, with fewer carries and Corum taking some of that work, Williams averaged 4.8 yards per carry. That is a major increase in efficiency. A more balanced workload can keep both backs fresher and allow the Rams to maintain the same style throughout the game. There is even the possibility of something much bigger. The idea was raised that Los Angeles could potentially become just the 7th team in NFL history to have 2 players in the same backfield reach 1,000 rushing yards in a season. Something that has not happened since Lamar Jackson and Mark Ingram did it with Baltimore in 2019. Whether they actually reach those numbers remains to be seen. But the larger point is clear. The Rams believe they may have something special in this backfield. And a powerful running game opens everything else for Sean McVay. When his offenses are at their best, The threat of the run makes play action much more dangerous. Defenders have to respect what is happening in the backfield, and that creates opportunities for Stafford and his receivers. Speaking of those receivers, we need to talk about Puka Nacua. Sometimes a player is so consistently good that his performances almost stop becoming news. That seems to be happening with Puka. He continues making special plays in practice, and the level of focus surrounding him has been noticeable. The excitement is not only about his talent. It is about the way he appears to be approaching the season, both on and off the field. He is locked in, and if that continues into the regular season, the Rams could have an extremely dangerous version of a player who was already very difficult to stop. Another offensive player who caught attention was Max Klare. He received a few opportunities with the first-team offense, and while it was not a huge number of snaps, Stafford found him over the middle for a nice completion and a solid gain. The preseason should tell us much more about where things stand at tight end, because game usage will give us a clearer picture of how the Rams view that group. And then we get to one of the most important competitions still unresolved, QB2. Stetson Bennett needed a better day, and he got one. His previous performance had been difficult. With Stafford resting, Bennett had opportunities and the defense gave him serious problems. Quinton Lake intercepted him, and Bennett struggled against a unit that has been making almost everybody's life difficult. But with Stafford back and Bennett working against the second team, things looked better. Bennett delivered several impressive throws, including one of the best passes of the day when he rolled to his right after play action, and connected with C.J. Daniels for an intermediate completion. He also found Jordan Whittington over the middle and completed another intermediate pass to Konata Mumpfield, who once again made his presence felt. That was an encouraging response after a bad day. The question, however, is bigger than whether Bennett can play well against backups. The Rams need to know whether he can be trusted as Stafford's immediate backup if he is needed. Ty Simpson remains part of that conversation, although there was little information about him from the latest practice. Based on how the repetitions have been distributed, the belief presented from camp is that the Rams are preparing Bennett to be the immediate backup and giving him the opportunity to prove he can handle that responsibility. Right now, Bennett appears to have the advantage in the QB2 competition, but the real tests are coming. The joint practice with the Cowboys on August 11th will give the quarterbacks an opportunity to work at much greater intensity against another team's players. Then comes the preseason opener on August 15th, where the distribution of quarterback snaps will be fascinating. Will Bennett play? Will Simpson get an extended opportunity? Will Matthew Caldwell see the field? Then, on August 20th, another joint practice against the Saints provides another major evaluation point. Those opportunities matter because evaluating Bennett and Simpson exclusively against this Rams defense might not tell the entire story. This defense has been dominating practices. Facing another opponent provides a different measuring stick and gives the coaching staff a chance to see how both quarterbacks respond at game-like speed. And when you put everything together, this final stretch of training camp tells us a lot about where the Rams stand. So Rams fans, I want to hear from you. What is the biggest story coming out of camp for you? Are you most excited about how dominant this defense has looked? Do you believe Blake Corum and Kyren Williams can become one of the NFL's best running back combinations? Do you trust Stetson Bennett as Stafford's backup? And what do you want to see from Daniel Rickert now that the Rams have added another young edge rusher right before the preseason? Let me know what you think, because training camp is ending. But the most important part of this roster battle is just getting started.